Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
Y'all, this
just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We're going to jump right in. Tori, sorry, there is no State of the Union talk on this show.
I'm out.
Are you leaving? All
I'm
right,
leaving.
We can talk about the fashion of the State of the Union.
It'll be terrible. DC, terrible fashion.
Terrible. All right.
Terrible.
Welcome to DBL. We're following up on a few Grammy stories we talked about yesterday. First up, Ben and Jen. So apparently a lip reader transcribed a conversation between them that was caught on camera. If you remember, JLo appeared to be scolding Ben about something while Trevor Noah was doing a bit, but she quickly put on a smile after she realized they were on camera. So according to this lip reader, Jen told Ben to, quote, stop, then says, look more friendly, look motivated. Ben says, I might. Here it is in slow motion. Did we see the slow motion? All right, here it is again.
Stop, look
Okay,
more
but I want you to see
friendly.
something else. He says, I might, and she's like, ooh, that kind of turned me on right there. Right there. Because, and I'll tell you why, because JLo is an alpha prime personality. She is a type A person. We are working out at 4:30,
yes, she is.
6:30, and then we have a 10:30 workout before we start our day. She is a very serious person. Everybody that works for her realizes this. I'm sure they have seen people fired over not being as serious as she is, assistants, people that help with her career. I feel like Ben Affleck is the only person in her whole life that's just like, yeah, maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. And she's like, no one talks to me like that. And she wants to get mad, but she's like, I don't know why, but I like that.
Is it like a Dom sub situation?
I don't want to go there.
Okay,
but I will say that every relationship.
You went there.
Every relationship has a power dynamic. And every relationship that she is personally
She's the dominant.
and professionally, she's the dominant.
Right.
And I think everybody is looking for that balance. And I think Ben Affleck is the only person that financially can stand up for himself, but more importantly, he is who he is. And she went back for that because they dated 20 years ago. She clearly liked it then too. And that's where I'm going. Erica, am I crazy? Did you see that face?
No,
after
I don't
he said,
think I don't think you're crazy. I just think that you're looking at it a bit one-sided, and I think they probably do that for each other.
I can see that.
Both, because I mean, anyone who is, especially when you have an alpha personality and you're alpha in your job everywhere, there is a place where you are going to fall back in your life. And I think that if you have a partnership that you can do that for each other, it's quite effective. Now, earlier you inadvertently said JLo, and I think that should be their new couple name because Ben is always operating on some degree of a low, apparently.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, when do we ever see him happy other than with Adrian Brody? What was his name?
Yeah,
the other actor. Listen, there's plenty of pictures out there of them happy. The media just pulls the ones where they look the worst.
Yeah, well, because we don't get to see that as often, and it's more interesting.
It makes me like them more. They're real, right? They're a real couple. No, there is no perfect holding hands. Let's walk down the street. We never fight. Erica, don't look at me. You might have. But the rest of us don't. Okay?
You're right.
That's real. So when you're having I don't want to be here. It doesn't matter if it's the Oscars or just a work event. You're like, man, I want to just go home and watch Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah, it's very relatable. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I liked it. I think it's also interesting how much she's aware of the camera, how much he doesn't really care.
Right.
Too. I thought that was interesting.
What do you think about my theory?
I agree with it completely.
Okay.
Good combo. Okay, some people were a little hard on Harry Styles yesterday, Tori, and his Grammy performance,
I feel
but
bad.
now a dancer claims there was a technical mishap. In a TikTok video, the dancer said the turntable was rotating in a different direction from the one they practiced on. He said they tried to get the attention of the technician, but they couldn't hear them, so they had to switch all their walking patterns on the spot. Harry also seemed to trip a little when he was jumping off of there. I wonder if he jumped off because it wasn't going as well. I thought you guys were a little hard on Harry too. I didn't think it sounded that bad. I didn't think it was that awful. But you did not like him.
I've watched Harry's house concert, and he's like all over the place, wearing crazy outfits, and it's high energy. I just felt, and I was right in that something seemed off. Now that I understand that is so frustrating to an artist who has waited all this time and who knows he might be up for Album of the Year where people don't think he's deserving, and he has to give that, and it's kind of a blase. I feel very bad for him. That's not a fun thing to have happen.
No, it's not.
It's really, really annoying.
It's sometimes things like that are very hard to recover from.
Very much so.
I'm not gonna, no tea, no shade or anything, but I just want to bring up this clip from when something happened to Beyonce in the middle of her performance. You see there, her hair gets caught in the fan, and she continues to sing.
Wow.
And I don't think she missed a note.
No.
I'm just saying.
That's yes. But I will say this: when it comes to choreography, and when I was watching the show, I'm such a nerd. When I watch the Harry Styles performance, I'm also looking at like how they're shooting it and what they're doing. And one thing I did notice that that kind of lends credence to what is when they had the little kind of solo interaction with him and the biracial young woman.
Yeah.
The kind of I was looking at her and I could see her counting like 4, 3, 2, 1. Her lips were moving because they kept trying to reconnect. And I was like, that's such a weird thing for them to be doing. I wouldn't think that I'd be able to see her lips moving, but now that I realize that the stage is going backwards, she is trying to do all this in real time, and I actually give them a lot of props because to just do a harmonized, sequential movement with all those people is difficult enough, but to reverse it on the fly with a moving turntable where you are 1 second away from being internet infamous, if you fall off or something, it's a lot of props, and it does explain why he jumped off.
Yeah.
And he puts his earpiece back in, and he seems a little rattled when he got back on the mic. So I'm not absolving it completely, but it does make more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that he didn't come out with that, right? Because it's very easy to be like, everyone's bashing me. You know what happened? This happened. He didn't even say anything.
Yeah, he's quiet about it.
Yeah, so the more that people hate on someone like Harry Styles, the more I become a fan. And I just downloaded his song. I'm a fan, Harry Styles. And I got his outfit as well that he wore on the red carpet. Just for the house.
Scoop neck.
Jim Carrey is putting his LA home of more than 30 years on the market. Jim is listing the 12,000 square foot home for $28.9 million. He recently told the New York Post the home has been his sanctuary for decades, but he doesn't spend a lot of time there anymore and wants someone else to enjoy it. The ranch-style home has 5 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms. Inside, the living room showcases Jim's massive art collection, some of which he painted himself, but obviously not included with the home. There's also a home theater that features some memorabilia from The Grinch on the wall, and check out his 2 Riddler costumes framed at the end of this hallway. That would be, if you could probably get a couple mil more if he's like, I'll leave that stuff in there, my paintings and all my memorabilia.
You know what's weird, Jeff? I mean, we're not usually on the same groove, but I was just thinking if you are an art person and there are many rich art collectors, not only do you want it for the resemblance of its Jim Carrey's, but to have Jim Carrey's art, it will go up as age goes up. So I agree. If you added those in, you might actually get more money.
I don't think he's worried about that.
He's so worried. He's riddled with.
I'm like, the house alone is worth $28 million. He's been there for 30 years. I think he's made his money back on that. I'm like, maybe I could sweeten the pot by throwing in some family heirlooms.
He's a good little artist, though. I think
we keep seeing this because there are these huge estates, and like the upkeep, even when you have a staff and like a team, that's a lot of like energy. So I can see like people kind of like downsizing, and also the market for like these bigger like mega homes and stuff has come down even more. I mean, obviously like inflation and all of that, but they've come down so much in terms of people wanting these like sprawling estates now that a lot of people are unloading them.
Can you imagine being like 28.9? Yeah, let's look at it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know who to call to do that. Yeah.
Those people from the LA listing show or whatever.
I guess
$1 million listing.
Yeah, $1 million listing. Coming up on DBL, our interview with Jinger Duggar Bolo. She's telling us all about what it was like breaking away from her strict upbringing. And Leonardo DiCaprio's rumored new girlfriend is half his age. We're going to talk about it next.
Our viewers are talking about DBL.
Yes!
I like that.
Leaves me speechless. I'm like blushing.
Thank you, thank you.
That's emotional.
Do I want to sit there and watch them? Yes, I do.
So I'm excited about this next story. I don't want to talk about it right now, but I'm gonna go to Al first, and I'll just say that.
Yes, I have a comment about the previous story. I feel like we're messing up. You said everybody's like kind of leaving their big homes. There's a lot of upkeep, right? We all like each other. We could all live together in a huge mansion. Why don't we pool our money?
Like a compound?
And we go in like a $20 million mansion.
I love that, you guys.
We have the Jeff wing.
The Jeff wing were...
Nope.
Not going to say it. Where it'd be taped off, like medical tape, because something.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
with you. I'm with you, Erica.
Absolutely not.
We could take up the apartment like the real world.
Yeah, no. We have talked about doing something like having a home where our family can have like smaller homes on that same property, because that's something like
all doomsday preppers.
No, it's not a doomsday prep. It's just that
It's a compound.
most of the people in my family now are like digital nomads. They can work from anywhere. So it's like they've kind of set up in different ways that are unconventional as well. So that's something I.
But why is that
definitely
considered
would do.
unconventional? I think that makes
No,
a lot of
it's
sense.
the-
Why wouldn't you live
it's-
around the people that you?
No, it's just
It's
that
kind of
it's
old
such a
school.
big
People
age
used to
gap.
live down the street from their aunt, and like. If I could do that, I would.
She's
I would.
19.
My mom and my sister kind of live close to each other in South Carolina. If I had the
24,
means, I would
I'm
be
like,
like,
she's
let's
19.
wall
Oh, no.
this off, Game of Thrones style, and like hang out.
Would you guys not want? I would love a compound.
I would love that.
Do you think we should exclude them and just have it be us?
Yeah, but it would just be my family. So.
Am I like part of that? Like figuratively?
We gotta do some logistics. We can get you in there. No,
Like
I
I'm
would
part of
love
the
to live in there.
compound.
Welcome back. We have some Hollywood couple stories for you. First, Leonardo DiCaprio is apparently dating a model who isn't even 20 yet.
Couldn't get that out.
Leonardo's dating life has been under a microscope ever since he split from his girlfriend of 4 years, but I think he's always been under a microscope with his relationships. Leo, who is 48, was spotted getting cozy with 19-year-old model Eden Polani at a party over the weekend. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but who cares? She won't be around
that's
long.
her name.
If you're doing the math, that's a 29-year age gap. Leo has famously never dated anyone over the age of 25.
Yeah, and Jeff, everybody in the room is acting like what you said is shocking. Like, oh, she won't be around long. She knows that. She's seen his track record. Erica, it's fine. She knows that. He knows that. What we have here is two adults that are
Barely.
that are in
Barely
legally.
adults.
Seriously.
First of all, it's never good for a man to be yelling legally.
Yeah.
That's never good.
It is. The point is that they are legal.
They are absolutely super legal, and they are two people that are in. Do you think she's entering this like, I'm going to marry this man? Do you honestly think she's thinking that?
No, but I also.
Okay, why not?
Because that's not how Leo rolls. But I also, even if they're not getting married, it's still an uncomfortable age difference because of how particularly she can't even have a beer. She can't go to a club.
Maybe she's a very healthy person. She wouldn't want one anyway. Aren't you taking her agency away from her? Aren't you saying that you can't make this decision so society will?
Okay, huge hill to die on. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not. People have age differences all the time, and I'm like, they're consenting adults. They're consenting adults. She's 19. Like, yeah, she's legally an adult, but is she really an adult? Like, at 19, I barely knew what certain like intimate acts were.
It was so
to really
dumb.
like. At 19, 19. Think about what you were thinking about and who you were at 19.
But these are different 19-year-olds. These kids grew up with the internet.
I just don't feel like that's not something I'm ever going to be comfortable with.
Would you be
like?
okay
It
if
makes
your
me
daughter
look at you. It makes me
differently?
look at you real hard and twice and 13 times.
Yeah.
Like,
would you let your daughter, when she was 19, date a 48-year-old man?
I wouldn't be able to let her do anything. I wouldn't be super pleased with it, but I don't know how.
but why wouldn't you be pleased with it?
Because I know how these things are going to end. But apparently she does as well. I'm telling you, as somebody that is raising children in this generation, it is shocking.
So what are you
looking?
Okay, let's talk about it this way. Your daughter will be 19 soon. Let's say a 48-year-old dude rolls up on her and she brings him home to you. What are you looking at him and what are you asking him?
I'm looking at him and saying, where did I go wrong?
Yeah, as a parent.
But you're asking him.
As a
As a dad.
As a dad.
Right.
But I feel like if my daughter is doing that, she, as a person that I speak with on a nightly basis that exhibits emotional maturity for a 15-year-old, I would expect her to have made a decision, and I would have to go along with that.
And there's nothing
even if I didn't like it.
And there's nothing in your stomach that switches from 17 and 19 that makes you look at that man and look at him like a predator. Nothing.
Okay, we have a hard out. I want to continue this conversation. I don't want to use the word predator. I don't want to use that word.
We got to go, but I just want to say, when I stress legally, because I think when you mess around with young kids, it's disgusting.
Right.
That's why I stress legally.
Right.
Okay, so you guys go back and forth. I thought it was going to be a little happier conversation. I guess not. Coming up on DBL, we're talking with Jinger Duggar Volo all about her past life on reality TV and leaving the strict life she once knew.
Many of us like to start our mornings with eggs, but a headline from News Punch, which describes itself as a conservative news and entertainment website, went viral, claiming the breakfast staple is causing thousands of people to suddenly form blood clots. The article cites a 2017 study by researchers at the Cleveland Clinic as proof. Verify viewer Robert texted us to ask if this is true. So, let's verify. Did scientists warn people that eating eggs causes blood clots? Our sources are the study and its authors, and Christopher Gardner, a professor of medicine at Stanford University and chair of the American Heart Association's Nutrition Committee. The study cited in the viral article was not about eggs. Instead, researchers were looking into choline, a nutrient that helps support brain and liver function. Choline occurs naturally in many foods, like eggs, and is available as a supplement. The study found that taking choline supplements could increase your chances of blood clotting events, like a heart attack or stroke. The authors tell Verify the research did not show a direct link between egg consumption and suddenly forming blood clots. And Gardner says it's a mistake to draw that conclusion.
To extrapolate from a study that did focus on a single nutrient and try to make a claim about food habits or foods to include or avoid is really a stretch for the data, and we need to stop doing that.
So, no, scientists did not warn people that eating eggs causes blood clots. The Heart Association says eating 1 egg or 2 egg whites a day can actually be part of a healthy diet. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
This February, love is in the air with a luxury-included vacation to Sandals Dunn's River. Watch DBL every day and start entering for your chance to win the trip of a lifetime.
Welcome back to DBL. For years, millions of Americans tuned in to watch 19 Kids and Counting. Now, one of their daughters is getting honest about her unique upbringing. And earlier, we spoke with Jinger Duggar Volo.
Please welcome to the show, Jinger. Jinger, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jay and Jinger, thank you so much for being here. I want you to have the floor and explain the theology you were raised to abide by growing up.
Yeah, the teachings I was raised in, we followed a teacher named Bill Gothard, and he taught us a lot of things. He basically would say, if you followed his teaching, your life would be a success, and if you didn't, then your life would be one disaster after another. So he would lay out a lot of rules that you had to do. Courtship was one, and how to go about relationships, or modesty standards, no drums, things like that.
Wow, no drums.
So you were just talking about the life principles here that Bill taught you. How did they affect you and your family over the years?
It produced in me a lot of fear. I was a very fearful person because of it. I thought that if I stepped outside of this box, that God was waiting to get me at any turn. And so for me as a young kid, I remember one time I was in a car where somebody turned on drums in the car, and I was like freaking out thinking, I'm going to die in a car accident, because Bill Gothard shared a story of a young man who died in a car accident because he was listening to drums. So I would freak out like that, thinking, okay, I have violated one of God's principles, and now I'm opening myself up to Satan's attacks.
So with all this fear-based ideology, what led you to really question the rules that were based in these practices that you were raised on?
It was so hard for me to even question it, because it was very cult-like in nature, and we were in such a tight-knit community. And stepping outside of that, and even writing this book, was something that I had thought about doing many years before. but I just couldn't bring myself to write it because it was so difficult to do. And I was afraid I would lose my community that I grew up with.
Wow. Jinger, I'm curious, has your family read your book, and has it changed your relationship with any of them specifically?
It's interesting. Different ones of my siblings and my parents have responded differently. Some of them are still in the teaching, while others would totally say they're out of it. And so that's been an interesting time, just like talking through those differences. And so I think at some point, different ones will just agree to disagree. And I know that they just want what's best for me.
So your family was on TV for many years. So do you think the show's influenced more people to follow Gothard's teaching? And if so, how do you feel about that?
I would say that the show definitely influenced a lot of people to get into Bill Gothard's teaching with IBLP. That's something that we pushed, going to family conferences with IBLP. So a lot of families had joined because of my family, and that kind of breaks my heart at some point, seeing how I know even for me, I was such a devout follower. I wanted people to join. And now looking back, that's another reason why I want to write this book, is to say that I had promoted these teachings for so many years, and now this is a correction, coming back and saying, don't follow these teachings. They're so harmful.
Yeah, I think, why people are gravitating towards your book is because you aren't afraid to address those controversial topics. In fact, in your book, you also talk about Josh, your brother Josh, who is in prison for child pornography charges. You say you haven't seen him, talked to him for nearly 2 years, but you do still pray for him. That's what you said in your book. What do you pray for for him, and have you forgiven him?
Yeah, it's hard to talk about all of that, but I do pray for my brother. But I first will say I'm grateful for the justice system. I'm grateful that justice is being served, and my heart breaks for the victims and their families, and they're the ones that I pray for first. And I would pray for Josh that he would truly be broken over his sin, and that he would see that he was that he cannot change himself, because I think you can, in the system, what I talk about in the book is putting up these outward rules and saying you're okay. That's not enough. True transformation will only come from the inside out, and that's a work that only God can do.
That's a brave human being, my friend.
I hope it's not lost on our audience, like the amount of courage that it takes
to go against your family,
to speak about the situation with your brother, which obviously is gross and sad, but you're addressing it. You don't have to, but you are. And I just want to let you know, on behalf of us as a panel, I wasn't sure how forthcoming you were going to be in this interview. And quite frankly, I'm really blown away, because you really are taking a risk and losing everything in terms of your relationships, your past, how you view who you are as a person. And it took a lot of courage for you to do this. And I'm really impressed by you.
Ginger, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story with us. To our viewers, you can get Ginger's book, Becoming Free Indeed, My Story of Disentangling Faith from Fear. You can get her book wherever books are sold. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, Ginger.
Now we're all crying.
Thank you.
My God.
The question comes from Joan. She asks, it's become known in the Kohberger case that the police went through the trash to get DNA evidence. Do the police need a warrant to do that? Let's dive in. Our sources to verify this are the U.S. Constitution, the 1988 Supreme Court case California v. Greenwood, and Wayne Unger, a visiting professor of law at Gonzaga University.
Here I teach constitutional law and data privacy law, as well as the First Amendment. My research covers the Fourth Amendment, which is relevant to this particular question that you bring.
Viewer Jones' question comes from the details in the Kohberger case laid out in the probable cause affidavit that police in Pennsylvania searched through the trash can outside of Kohberger's parents' home, where they say they obtained DNA evidence used to link him to the crime scene in Moscow.
When do police or investigators need a warrant to search through your trash?
The Supreme Court has ruled in a case called California v. Greenwood back in 1988 that a warrant is not required at all to search through somebody's trash, assuming that trash has been put out for pickup.
The Fourth Amendment protects people from unreasonable search and seizure by the government, in this case the police. In California v. Greenwood, the Supreme Court determined that trash left for pickup outside your home isn't protected by the Fourth Amendment. But police must also consider what their state constitution says on the matter.
Pennsylvania and Idaho, kind of the two kind of states involved in this particular case, they do not have anything above and beyond the Supreme Court's consideration of no warrant. So in other words, law enforcement in Pennsylvania and Idaho can generally search your trash so long as it's been put outside.
The location is key here. If your trash is left for pickup outside your home, police generally don't need a warrant. If your trash is inside your home or garage, then police do need a warrant. That brings us back to the Kohberger case.
Law enforcement in this particular case in Pennsylvania acted lawfully and constitutionally when it collected the DNA from the parent's trash can.
So we can verify that police do not need a warrant to search your trash so long as it's outside your home, unless the state constitution where that search takes place states otherwise.
More than 100,000 people have shared this Facebook post warning about Lunchables. It claims there are multiple cases of people finding glass inside nacho cheese dip, and many are wondering if there's a Lunchables recall over the claims. So, let's verify. Our sources are the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, Lunchables' parent company Kraft Heinz, and John Lucy, a food science professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The FDA allows consumers to make complaints about their food. We checked with them, and the FDA confirms they've gotten reports about glass in Lunchables. However, the agency hasn't issued a recall. Kraft Heinz and the FDA say what people are really seeing are actually phosphate crystals. These can look like glass shards, but it's really a binding agent that's listed on the ingredients. When the cheese dip loses moisture or is exposed to extreme temperatures, the crystals begin to form. To put this to the test, one consumer ran the glass-like particles under hot water and says they eventually dissolved. So, no, there isn't a Lunchables recall over claims of glass shards in the nacho cheese dip.
Today's Sandals word of the day is nature. Watch DBL every day for a word of the day. Then enter at dailyblastlive.com/sandals for your chance to win a 4-day, 3-night escape for 2 to beautiful Jamaica.
Welcome back. 1 in 4 adults 65 and older get injured because of a fall, but the risks of falling can be lowered with balance training. It's time for some joint and muscle support brought to you by Omega XL. Balance training can be as simple as walking. Try walking in a zigzag pattern and change direction frequently. Next, practice walking on an imaginary line. If you feel unsteady, walk alongside the wall. Omega XL has improved the lives of millions of consumers. Omega XL's powerful and proven benefits have transformed the lives of athletes, celebrities, and dedicated daily users. Call 800-813-6801 or visit OmegaXL.com for more information. We got an update on Leonardo DiCaprio dating a 19-year-old. His people say that's absolutely not true. He's dating a 20-year-old named Jen Johnson. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding.